Budget was a big concern.
Sure.
We had the renewal, it had gone up significantly. But also, being an Australian company, our financial year runs July to June.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the renewal for our software had come in December. So obviously mid budget year, there was, that in itself was probably the biggest driver.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing that was a main concern was that we'd had OneTrust for quite a while, so it had already been set up. Time had been taken to set it up. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
not how I would have set it up because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And if anybody's ever used OneTrust, it's very good, but it's very, very complex. So to unravel everything that had already been set up in there would have taken a lot of time and effort. And again, it didn't feel fit for purpose. For example, the data breach investigation module, there was a lot of questions in there. A lot of them were, instead of asking specifics, they were generic. So I've spoken to you about this, Michelle. We'd have questions in there like how many data subjects were involved, and then you'd have tick box options. So you'd have 1 to 10 data subjects, 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000. That doesn't work for me. If you've got a privacy manager investigating a data breach, I don't want them to take the word of somebody in the business and go, it was about 500, and they go, right, well, we've got 100 to 1,000 box there, tick. No, if there was 245 data subjects involved in that data breach, I want to know there's 245. So having pre-ticked generic answers in there could lead to really lazy reporting. I don't want people to just accept what they're being told from the business. We all know trying to get information out of, colleagues when there's been a data breach, it is like getting blood out of a stone, but there's a skill to that. And I want people that are working in those roles to develop those skills of teasing the details out, because actually, if it turns out to be a reportable data breach and you've got to go to a regulator about it, those are the details they're going to want. And it's not going to look great if you can't give those specific answers. So yeah, that was the other big concern, was that the system had already been built. Everything had been put together either out of the box or somebody else had done it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah. Hearing you say, so being able to maintain an appropriate element of control, right, across the global program and landscape, but then also being able to have a high level of trust in the quality of information that was in the platform. So, control and quality.
The stability that, so when we were looking at different software options, I looked at all of the main privacy software providers. I looked at the well-known ones, some of the lesser ones. What we did was we created an MS form of all of our requirements and sent that out to all of the suppliers, and very kindly asked them to complete that, because there were some very specific things that we needed the software to do. And I don't know if anybody on this webinar has ever done this, but when you start looking at different software providers, there's some really random modules that they put together. So there were a lot of providers, for example, that didn't do data breach investigation models. And there were some that didn't do data subject rights models. And I'm looking at this going, well, if we're not careful, we're going to end up with 3 different providers, because it seemed very odd to me. If you're going to provide privacy software, why would you not have a data breach module? Why would you not have a data subject rights module? It was very odd. So that MS form actually saved us a lot of time and a lot of energy, because we wanted to find the right supplier. But as I was saying, the stability that we got with TrustDoc was also great. Because we took that year to look for our new supplier, your salespeople, the people that did our demos for us, answered all our questions, were absolutely amazing. Nothing was too much trouble. And let me tell you, the amount of demos we had, there were a lot, because we've got different stakeholders around the business looking at different modules. So we had so many, and the reassurance that I got from the amount of time and information that Truststock was willing to put into us at a point where there was no guarantee we were going to go with you, that in itself, I think, alleviated a lot of concerns.